If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I wanted to warn everybody, I try to do this every year, at least the 4 times a year that it occurs. The equinoxes and the solstices, people know them as, well, it's the first day of winter. It's the first day of spring and summer. These are all severely serious pagan holidays. And yes, while it might be a specific day where people start to think, yay, it's the first day of summer, it's going to get warm. There are many satanic rituals going on, and today happens to be December 21st, the winter solstice, where witches and Satanists alike celebrate the rebirth of the sun god. Now, they believe, of course, Lucifer to be the sun god. And one of the things, of course, the traditions that they use is using the everlasting burning log, also known as the Yule log. I wonder how that ties in with Christmas, because a lot of the pagan stuff ties in with Christmas, but I won't get into that in this video because I want to warn you about why this holiday is dangerous. Now, I usually go by satanic calendars that have been released over the years, and they talk specifically in one of the calendars where I can't show you the screenshot because the algorithm will get triggered, but the winter solstice, the Sabbath festival, the shortest day of the year, of course, is what most people think of this day for. And of course, the first day of winter. But this is when the witches' year begins. And some people actually believe that that is Halloween. That's not really what I care so much about. It is a day where blood rituals occur, animal and human sacrifice. There aren't many days openly in the calendar like this day, other than, Samhain, and then there's the Beltane. There are days like, leading up to Halloween, there are a lot of days of human sacrifice. Obviously, there's a lot of abductions around that time period. But this is a very, very important day. That's why I tell people about this to be careful. This also coincides with Saturnalia. The Saturnalian festival, which starts, I believe, the 17th and runs through the 23rd. Also another pagan satanic holiday and celebration. And, they tell you, well, they're just worshiping the planet Saturn, which is another word for Satan. And obviously, recently I covered, and I've covered over the years, Saturn as a symbol. And a lot of the celebrities using Saturn, having it tattooed on them. Like you're going to go and get a tattoo of Saturn, like a planet on your body. Like, what's your relation to the planet? Like, oh, I really want a tattoo. Like, what do you want to get? Like your father's name, your brother's name, something significant to you, your favorite sports team? No, I want to get the planet Saturn. Huh? Right? That's because they're Satanists. And you see that with Adele. Adele has the Saturn tattoo on her. She had the Saturn earrings at her last performance. This is Saturnalia. This is Saturn worship. This is what Hollywood is all about. This is what the occult is all about. So the reason that this day needs to be known is because, again, back in the day, abductions occurred on this day, leading up to this day. A lot of people went missing. A lot of animals went missing. And, people just go, oh my goodness, it's a coincidence. Now it doesn't happen as much because they breed children for these days. But you can even see a lot of the articles out there, celebrating the Yule, midwinter, winter solstice, the longest day of the year. CNN, of course, talking about how to celebrate, right? They never put anything about celebrating anything involving Jesus, but not that Jesus needs a holiday to be celebrated. He should be celebrated every day. But they talk about the Yule being the great rebirth of the great God who is viewed as the newborn solstice sun. Some pagans consider Yule to be the beginning of the new year, one of the 8 major annual Sabbaths of festivals. Another thing to keep in mind with this date, a lot of witches gather, a lot of Satanists gather, and I'm somebody who believes heavily in spiritual warfare. I believe over the years, especially since before I started this channel, I've been under such severe spiritual attack. I've never had a day where I questioned my faith, but I felt so beaten up, and even recently, just beaten up, defeated, depressed. And if you don't stay strong in the Word, if you don't stay strong in your walk, then days like this are where these people get together, and when they cast out spells, they're not casting out spells to remove a wart from their rear end. They're casting out spells in honor of their God, and they attack Christians, and they attack Jesus. They can't stand Jesus and what Jesus did, and how he freed humanity from sin, and how he gave people salvation. There's nothing that they detest more, and we see that every day, right? With Hollywood and how they, just constantly depict Jesus in movies, how they're openly talk about him and mock him, and they're allowed to. And of course, we can't say a word about anyone or anything, or we're silenced and canceled. So it's important to stay in the Word, especially on a day like today. Even just, read the Psalms for 15 minutes if you have time. Say a prayer, just prayer protection. I know a lot of times I tell people that, and they're like, I'm protected by the Holy Spirit. I can't ever be under spiritual check. That's not true. Because you could just be letting your guard down. You could be doing things of this world and not focusing your energy and your attention on God because you're distracted by things, which happens to all of us. And, suddenly you're under spiritual attack. You start thinking things you normally wouldn't think, or start thinking, that's spiritual attack. And feeling certain ways you don't want to feel, feeling down, feeling doubt, feeling guilt, feeling shamed, all these things. So that's what these witches do, and they gather on the winter solstice. There's even a clip that I covered before in the TV show, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, I think it was called. And they openly talk about the solstice and how it's a witch's holiday. They don't talk about the weather, and they talk about how human sacrifice was made. A witch was sacrificed for the winter, and they took just all crazy crap. And, that's what these people are about. That's what these holidays are about. I hate to pop and burst people's bubbles, but they're about human sacrifice. They're surrounded by it. Christmas in general is a pagan holiday because Constantine, created it and merged it with the solstice, with Saturn, all this garbage. And, people get really offended by it because they're like, well, I like to celebrate and I'm not worshiping, and that's fine. You could do whatever you choose to do, but the origins of it and origins of Constantine are not pure, and neither are any of these earthly holidays that are celebrated where people are, watching Satan Claus come down a tree. But anyway, I wanted to let you know about today, the origins of it and why it's important. And I felt led and inspired to read the Beatitudes to everyone out there, Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 through 12. And I hope you'll just stay and listen. I'll read it really fast. And seeing the multitudes, he went up onto a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they that are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad. For great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets who were before you. And I don't know why I picked that first, but I felt led to read that to you on a day where, when I cover some of these events, it's just, if somebody is listening and they're not going to pick up the Bible, at least I could just give you something to uplift you in case you are feeling under spiritual attack. Because on these types of dates, people do feel under spiritual attack. They don't know why. And obviously with everything going on in the world, I think we're all feeling it every day. And it's not a wonderful, fun time to be alive, but we all have to truck through it. So don't forget the winter solstice is today. Obviously, I always warn people about letting their pets out. And people say, well, that's crazy, kooky, panic stuff. And that's fine by me. Because if something ever happened to someone's pet and they told me I went missing on this date and I didn't at least warn people beforehand about letting them out and leaving them in their yard or something like that, I'd feel guilty or responsible. So I usually all the time around where I used to live, I used to see signs up of missing pets right around the days leading up to Halloween, right around the days leading up to Christmas. And, people aren't going around to people's backyards looking to take their dog. There's dogs that need homes all over the place, because they look at the dog and they're like, it's so cute, I want it. No, they do it for sacrifice reasons. And of course, they do more than animal sacrifice on these dates. So that's just a heads up. It is the shortest day of the year, but it's also a day of Satanism and celebration for them as they celebrate the rebirth of their sun god. So keep that in mind. I want to thank everyone for being here. I appreciate you guys greatly. A reminder, check out the website at callfornuprising.com if you haven't. Please consider joining the website. A lot of great information in the forum being shared. Really good information. You definitely don't want to miss out on it. I appreciate, again, all the support, the Patreons, and every one of you. I hope you're doing well. God bless you and your families.